Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Football for You, the podcast that does not yet have an official name technically. I am coming to you with my second video. I already did my Premier League predictions, but I'm just getting started on this new channel. So, if you could, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment because I would like to hear from you. I'm going to be reviewing the Premier League this week. So to start off with, we're obviously going to do Arsenal United. So honestly, kind of a letdown from Gyökeres. I was expecting more. It was just, it lacked just about anything, really. And I think people on the internet are hypercritical right now because you spend £70 million to get your long-awaited striker, and he doesn't score, he doesn't create any big chances, he doesn't, which I didn't think. He didn't create no chances. I think he put in a pretty decent cross from Martinelli. And, I do like to be hypercritical because I expect a better level out of professional footballers, but the honest truth is you can't really expect much out of him as far as fitting into a system that he's just basically just gotten into. Now, I think 5 games into the season, maybe then you're going to want to start saying, oh, he doesn't have it, he was a bust, he's a flop, anyone can score in the Portuguese league, blah, blah, blah. I think a couple games in, but again, you have people like Rafinha who took almost an entire season to settle into Barcelona. So you never know. But we should have lost quite easily. Just basically going to tell you what everyone else is telling you. We should have lost quite easily. They dominated possession, they dominated stats, and to me, this game just proves what everyone already knew, which is Manchester United have a really dire goalkeeping situation, and Arsenal are good from set pieces. And that pretty much sums up the entire game. I mean, we should have conceded a good time or two. Now, David Raya getting man of the match, I don't really understand. I didn't really see it. Except for the saves, I mean, he was pretty bad as far as I did see him, take too long on the ball and get it taken from him, and that was very, very risky. But to be quite honest, I don't see it. As far as things go, it probably should have been Calafiori. But enough about Arsenal, Manchester United. There's nothing I'm going to tell you that you didn't already know if you watched it, or if you've heard Goldbridge, or if you've heard Robbie. It's just, we got dominated and somehow won anyway. So, as for West Ham versus Sunderland, pretty much my prediction, which was that West Ham weren't going to have the quality and Sunderland were to stay up. Now, as far as all my predictions go, it's too early in the season to be saying that I was right about this and I was right about that. But, like I said, now a completely unrespected result for me today was Leeds-Everton. And I know by the time that this is done recording and uploading, it'll be tomorrow. But for me, it's today. Leeds-Everton, completely unexpected. You could see the signs that it was going to happen in the first half. You could completely see that the entire Everton defense was off. Pickford wasn't exactly firing in all cylinders. I think conceding 1 goal, you can't necessarily blame him. But you could just see in the first half that everything, all the pistons weren't firing, to be quite honest. Liverpool, great start to the season. I don't understand the whole wheelchair fan incident. I'll have to get more news about that. I haven't really read up on it. But to me, Bournemouth just could have been better. I think Virgil van Dijk made a mess at the back. I don't know if you've seen it on social media, but he does have that weird thing where he's completely turned around for the second goal. But, no, to be quite honest, we've already had our first massive controversial VAR call when, Bournemouth were denied a red card for what was essentially a player playing basketball at midfield. So I don't understand that. But overall, for me, it wasn't quite shocking. Pretty expected results. I didn't think Arsenal was going to go the way it didn't. I certainly didn't think Leeds was going to beat Everton. I thought Sunderland could pull out maybe a draw or a narrow win. I did not see the destruction that came. I did not see that coming. But I think, there's a lot to take away from this Premier League weekend, which is Gyökeres isn't quite fitting into the system yet, at least. I think you give him a couple games, he might. I think in a bit, at least by January, you're going to have to make a call on whether or not he's actually flopped. I said before that he needed to get the monkey off his back of scoring, and he did in preseason. But, like I said, whenever people were calling him flop over preseason, I said, preseason isn't everything. So, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's far too early to be calling him a flop. By the standard of him being called a flop for debuting for 14 minutes against Tottenham and not scoring a goal, I think that's like calling Benjamin Sesko a flop at Man United when he's only played very few minutes. It was a stagnant performance from him. But VAR, crap as usual. I don't know how to put that tactfully. I mean, when I first initially saw the foul, I thought it was just going to be given and maybe a booking. But then I see the first initial thing, which I thought was off the thigh, handball, and then whenever I saw the replay, he flaps at it. And there's no way. I mean, you're playing handball at midfield. I think VAR's gotten it horribly wrong, and we're already having issues one game into the season. But Leeds, I did not see beating Everton. This was a side that, without a 10-point deduction a couple seasons ago, would have made it into the top end of the table. Sunderland, I said, had the quality to, compete in this league. Leeds, like I said, took me for, that's out of left field. I did not expect a win. I genuinely expected Everton to take that. But, I did see a goalkeeping howler from Hermansen. I feel like he could have done better for one of the goals that West Ham conceded. But most of my predictions, except for Leeds being in relegation, have come true. I had Leeds, Burnley. Burnley got beaten. West Ham got beaten. Actually, the prediction that most people are saying has also come true, because I've seen Brentford get beaten 3-1. Now, like I said, too early in the season to be calling anything, but that's my, roundup for this week. Let me know in the comments what you personally think. But for me, I've mostly learned from this Premier League week what I already knew, which was that, Liverpool have that quality. People like West Ham and Burnley don't. Manchester United are still in crisis, especially at the back. Arsenal, not quite the quality that we needed to have, but we still eke by a win, set pieces. Just a lot to take away from this Premier League weekend. I'll have a better, summasis next week. This is a bit late coming off the heels of having a busy day, so forgive me. But smash a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below, and I will see you next time.